Okay, so I guess I'm going to try to do this vlog thing again, and I don't know. Okay, I don't really have a lot to talk about except my health problems. I don't really leave the house a whole lot anymore. I have a few projects that I keep saying that I need to work on. Today I have recently had a renewed interest in making interactive fiction, specifically interactive fiction that goes into more of what it's like to be depressed and to have trauma and to not know that the stuff that you're feeling is overcomable, or that it will ever end, or that it's just temporary. Like what that experience is like, and sort of the day-to-day challenges, I guess. I watched a TED Talk that seemed really, it was really motivating, about a girl who had gone through PTSD, and it was like brain trauma or something, or head trauma. Not to one-up her. I'm not doing that for this reason. Hold on. But one thing that isn't really talked a whole lot about is complex PTSD, and what the process of re-traumatization is like for people who have had usually traumatic childhoods, upbringings, and what it's like having a personality disorder, which there's not really a lot of good press out there for personality disorders. Usually when you look on the internet, you find, oh man, there's totally ketchup on my face. Hold on. Okay. When you look online, what you usually find are partners, ex-partners of people who have personality disorders, or people who are currently in a relationship with someone who has a personality disorder. And I think the two most common ones that are hot button issues are borderline personality disorder, which is what I have, and antisocial personality disorder, which, while in kind of the same spectrum of disorders, is very different, and is what most people are referring to when they talk about sociopaths. So, one of the challenges in my everyday life is explaining to people what it's like to have triggers. And what I mean by triggers are things that usually either remind you of something that happened to you, or are just very emotionally loaded statements, videos, movies, songs, anything with an emotional impact. Could be innocuous. Often for people who have complex PTSD, these things are very small things. It could be the way bread smells when it's baking, or the texture of a doorknob. It's a lot of sensory stuff. And the reason that it's difficult to explain to someone that you can have your reality sort of hijacked at any moment by very small sensory things is complex for someone to relate, I think. And so most people, when they experience a person who is being triggered, or who is having a flashback, or who is having a just complete meltdown or freak out, they try to frame that in rational terms. They try to look for cause and effect. They try usually to figure out how to get the behavior under control, and how to teach that person that what they're doing is not acceptable. Which, for a healthy person, if you were to say, okay, when you cut your leg open and bleed all over the kitchen floor, that is not good for you and is probably going to make things worse. That seems reasonable. But for a person who's been triggered by something, who isn't identifying with their body, for one, and that's the biggest thing with being triggered usually, is that your body is no longer a part of yourself. You might be worlds and worlds and worlds away, and you're just trapped in this vessel that all you can experience is pain, and you don't know what to do. Stuff just short circuits, I guess, is a good way to put it. The term for it, if I remember correctly, if I didn't make this up, I can never remember. I don't think I did. Amygdala hijacking is what happens when you have an extreme emotion. If you've had trauma, and especially if you have re-traumatization, you have a differently wired stress response. So usually the amygdala handles just your primal emotional stuff, and most people are, if they count to 10, or if they stop and think about it, they're able to get that to start going back down and get back in control of themselves pretty quickly. Unfortunately, a person who has had trauma, they don't have very much control over it, and it tends to spiral and ratchet up out of control really fast, because they suddenly lose touch with the part of themselves that is rational and that can think, but most importantly, the part of themselves that is able to form words and thoughts, words to communicate, words to explain to other people what you're feeling. It's one of the reasons why when I have a very strong emotion, sometimes the only thing I can communicate is textures, or what I'm seeing visually, a coffee table, a carpet, and I can describe it. I can describe what I'm seeing, or what I'm, but I can't describe the part that is inside of myself as a person, as an individual, what my subjective experience is, because it's getting torn from me in the same way that, I guess, for people who don't use the DOS prompt or anything, they younger people probably won't remember. That's really weird for me to suddenly be in that position. It's like all of a sudden having what was your user interface suddenly turn into a DOS interface, and all you can really type are commands. Very simple ones. Okay, yeah, that's a lawnmower. Come here. Lay down. Lay down. Good girl. She's very protective. So all you can really type are DOS commands. And most people don't understand those because we're used to, fancy user interfaces. We're used to behavior, communication, very complex structures. I don't know. So it gets very difficult for me when sometimes I get lost in those places for weeks at a time, and things keep reminding me of more and more triggers that they end up just kind of locking me into that. What is that guy doing? What are you doing? Oh, come here. Why is that guy just sitting there? I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay, anyway. So the hardest thing for me to explain to a person who's never had their reality torn from them, and who hasn't gotten stuck for a very long time in a place where words don't work. Sometimes you can draw pictures, or you can make art, or listen to music, or make music, or do something abstract that can encapsulate the experience that you're having. Where I'm at right now is I'm trying to motivate myself to make something when everything in me is telling me that there is no hope at all, that I would be better off spending my time finding a place for my dog and hanging myself, jumping off a bridge, maybe making a political statement before killing myself. So that way, at least my life will have been for something. So these are the sorts of thoughts that they usually happen when I'm overwhelmed and when there is just no hope. So right now I don't have any gas. My utilities, both of them were shut off, but the electricity, luckily, the guy that I was dating, who was living here at the time, helped me to pay for that. Just recently, I am living alone, and I don't have a way to pay for rent. I don't know how I'm going to pay for rent. I'm waiting on a disability hearing, and I'm waiting on a Medicaid hearing. And I feel as if my life right now is not allowed, or that I'm trapped between very oppressive plates of weight that are squeezing the life out of me as I try to legitimize what I'm experiencing. And it's hard, when you fill out forms. I used to work insurance, I used to freaking sell insurance, I've worked in the pharmacy, I've done fucking paperwork. So much paperwork for other people. But the hardest thing is filling out the paperwork about yourself and what you feel and what you're experiencing, because they give you this much space and that doesn't cover everything. How do you cover transient loss of identity and just complete breaks with reality where I'm unable to move or cook or clean, my immune system attacks my body, stuff happens, but it's all transient. It's the hardest thing to really explain. And so what I struggle with, I guess, is in this environment, how do I create? How do I make stuff? Because it's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how I know what I'm supposed to do. I've always known. It's just a drive. I'm either supposed to make music or I'm supposed to just talk. I have words where most people in my circumstance don't have the words. I, at least when things have calmed down and I'm in a better state of mind, I have the words and metaphors and descriptions to relate my experience to a wider audience. And one of the things that, if I could relate to the more healthy populace, I'm not even sure how to term people who are the status quo, I guess. People who have jobs and maybe families and lives, and who go out and do fun things and have their utilities on, and who, I don't know what it's like to have a normal life. I watch TV. I know what TV people normal looks like, but I really have no idea. I guess what I want to explain is what it feels like to feel not human, not a person, in an ideological sense. Not that I don't sometimes feel not a person in general, but there's no place for me. There's, especially in Indiana, there isn't a place that I can thrive and use the things that I'm gifted in to be able to find meaning and have a purpose. I guess it's vague, but if I didn't have to worry about my rent, if I didn't have to worry about keeping the utilities on or how I was going to pay for my medication, there's so many things I could be doing right now. Like, I struggle to carve a place for little things out of what feels like I don't know. It just feels impossible. It feels like that some of the projects that I focus on, like trying to build a space elevator, Lola, come here, or trying to build a time machine, or trying to, I don't know, unify physics, or freaking write a book, or solve the Zodiac Killer's cipher, or do acro yoga. Save the world. Those things feel simpler to me most days than just getting by. Just utilities, food, rent, dishes. And what I want more than anything, if people take nothing else away from this, to take this, that I have tried and I have done everything that I was told to do by my doctors, caseworkers, lawyer, and it's not working. This isn't sustainable. This world is not equipped for all of the potential that people who are sick still have. We are second-class citizens. And I don't use the term lightly. There's no place. And that is very sad. And I don't think that it should be that way. And I wish that there was something that I could do about it. And I hope that just talking might do something. I don't know. Try to write a book or make music or something. But I'm still a person. Despite all of the failed attempts at trying to work this past year, I have tried. And being denied Medicaid and being denied disability, which I'm waiting on hearings for both. It's just a lot. Despite all of these things, I'm still real.